friends, hello family, hello Bat fans. Got another Batman review for you for anyone who is missing the Bat videos on this channel after last month's Bat month. And I heard about this one after I did the review for this one, the McFarlane Batmobile. Extremely affordable. I think the positives so outweigh the negatives on this incredible Batmobile and McFarlane's new 6-inch line, I think, 6 or 7, I don't know, I can't remember. Anyway, that's the one that's in Walmarts right now and other stores with toy sections. I found out about this one, which was released by Mattel in 2013, I believe. This is how I always check for what year something was released, 2013. And there were some suggestions about you should get this one because it's the proper scale. It's a little bit bigger than that one. It goes with these figures a little bit. I did mention in the review for this one that it was a little bit undersized. More sized for G.I. Joe sized figures, 4-inch, but didn't bother me because I really love the erdliness of it. Erdliness. Because that's what the Erdl vehicles used to be back in the day. They didn't care about scale. It was just big plastic fun. So didn't bother me at all. I'm in the vast minority, but and I thank God that things like that don't bother me. Anyway, some suggestions about this one. Problem is this one is long out of print and goes for quite a bit on eBay these days. Quite a bit. But it's here and we're about to take a look at it thanks to Heroes Comics in London. First found out about Heroes from Action Figure Adventure on Amazon Prime. Heroes is the headquarters for that show, and try to pop in there whenever I'm passing through London. And they had one, mint in box. It's never been opened. And the price of it was astounding. It's less than half of what these go for on eBay. And never opened, so it's perfect inside. Plus no shipping cost on top of that. Really hard deal to say no to. And I'm just very curious to do a video comparing the two of them. So I guess afterwards I'll decide which one I'll keep and which one will be rolling out to someone else's collection. And these sides are actually glued. It's not a resealable box, unfortunately. So, oh, c'est la vie. Man, that's extremely glued. I think Centurion's boxes were like this too. And first impression, it is very erdly, just like the other one. Very, very similar. It's plastic. Feels a little more rigid plastic. No rubbery tires, but light plastic, big vintage Erdl style vehicle. Just, I mean, a little bit bigger. Let's take a look at some of the details on it before I do a side-by-side. The tires have the bat symbol on them, so when you spin them, it's like the transition on the show when they would go from one scene to the next. Side door has the bat symbol on it. Doors don't open, just like the McFarlane one. Little turbine booster on the back. That hole isn't all that sunken in, so I don't know if you'd be able to plug in some flame effects from other toys. There is a license plate on the back, Gotham 1966. That's so cool. These pouches, bat pouches or something, I don't know. These fins look like they're, oh yeah, they are. They're separate pieces and they're rubbery. So it looks like you can actually back the Batmobile up into something without breaking these off. That's a nice little added touch, having these more rubbery feeling. And painted headlights. And this is not like a 1/18 scale die-cast Hot Wheels Batmobile. This is a different price point, and even though the cost of these has gone up considerably, it still is what it is, and what it is an Ertl 80s style big plastic vehicle. And the McFarlane one has something like that too. And I remember on the McFarlane one, they had these rubbery things too. The McFarlane one is solid as well. Would have been nice if that was clear. Always nice when those beacons are clear on either cop cars or something like this, but same deal. It feels like almost the McFarlane one is a reissue of this and shrunk down a little bit and with a little bit less detail. The extra details are cool. This is rubbery too. Yeah, I'm getting a major feeling of deja vu. You know what? A fairly big thing. I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me at all, but it was always so important for Batman and Robin to buckle up in the show. And this was decades before seatbelts were mandatory. And so it's a cool little thing that it has bat symbols, seatbelts in there. But I have so many vehicles that don't have seatbelts. It's not a big deal. It's just kind of a minor gag. This is nice, clear plastic on there. It's a bit more than what you would see in big classic Ertl plastic vehicles, but they're not going too overboard. Rubbery little thing there. What is that? A fire extinguisher. This other little thing in there. And before we bring the other one out, here's a nice slow 360. Makes quite a difference. The extra gloss finish. You can see me waving in there, especially if you have a lot of light being thrown on him. It's cool. It's a bit cooler. Before I get them side by side, I'd say it's a bit cooler. Again, it's not like after having handled this for a couple of minutes, I'm throwing that one in the garbage or giving it away, and it's this one all the way. I do prefer this one so far, but that is not to say, that one is a write-off. I still think that one is really, really nice, especially the price of it is astounding. And side by side, wow, that one is quite a bit larger. Once you get them side by side, lining them up like that. They're lined up at the front now, and that's how much extra you get at the back. Quite a bit. Once you get them side by side like this really does start to look like a G.I. Joe sized Batmobile. And from behind and sort of from above. It's funny, they're actually almost about the same height. There's such a major difference in length and width, but in terms of height, this one is really not that much higher than the other one. So this one's just kind of like a mini bot. Not quite super deformed, but just definitely more compacted. And the big difference that I'm noticing right now is this is like a dull compared to this one. Almost gray look to it. Not matte, but the light isn't bouncing off of it. It doesn't have as mirror-like a finish as this one. And that is a really big advantage to this one for me. The size is definitely nice if you have the space. The Bat Cave playset, I think, will be able to accommodate that. You just sit it on the little cardboard circle. But just the finish is like on the show, whereas this is a lot duller and a lot cheaper looking just from the finish. And let's compare some of the more minor details. The red on this one is a little brighter on the big Mattel one, and it's nice. Goes nicely with the glossy black of it. This is more of a dull red. Both of them have painted headlights. These aren't quite as dark as they're appearing on camera, They're tough to light up because they're so recessed in there. But this is an orange headlight on the Mattel one. This is more of a orangey yellow on that one. Detail in the front is about the same. It's a little different interpretation, but it's about the same. Big difference is the tires. This is a good example to show the pluses and minuses of each one. I don't think it's a slam dunk for one or the other, but the silver on the Mattel one that I'm shaking right now because I don't have a hand free is much nicer. The separate little bat symbol, it looks like it's separate. Red little bat symbol is fantastic. So the McFarlane one looks a lot duller. But the huge advantage the McFarlane one has is this feels like rubber. And it just puts a smile on my face, like classic Transformers. Whereas this is a harder plastic. So if only this was rubber, it might be a clean sweep. But that's one thing I really do appreciate on the McFarlane car. And it looks like the tires, yeah, they can come off of the McFarlane one. Unfortunately, they can't. It's all one solid piece on the Mattel one. And it occurs to me, I might be calling these McFarlane and Mattel and vice versa and Ertl, and it's because these are all so similar. Anyways, some other details. There is this thing on the roof. Without actually looking at the real 66 Batmobile, I'm going to guess that it was more like this. And it's cool that it's a gold piece. This tiny piece in comparison, much, much tinier than on the Mattel one. And probably just gray because that's the plastic they used for the steering wheel and everything else. So Mattel went a little bit further on that. The turbine on the back. No license plate on the Mattel one. Although, look at that. The hole is sunken in a little bit more, so I think you could actually, and smaller, so you could probably stick more like flame effects back in there. And I just grabbed some random flame effects. These are off of the Arc, Transformers Arc Last Autobot. I mean, perfect fit. Stick them in there. That's pretty cool. Not going to be able to do that on the Mattel one. This is a really nice extra little detail on the Mattel one. These pipes on the back actually have holes on them compared to the sort of just shallow recess of the McFarlane one. And this is kind of funny. Goes with what I was saying about the McFarlane one being kind of smooshed and super deformed. It's smaller, but the canopy is bigger. The back canopy is much bigger than the Mattel one. It's interesting. The Mattel one has silver paint job around the edge, which is very nice. McFarlane one doesn't. The bat symbol is pretty much identical. And let's take a peek inside at what details each one has. Inside, there's the McFarlane steering wheel. There's the Mattel steering wheel. The McFarlane one doesn't really move. Can't turn it around. The Mattel one, it does. It's a nice little extra. Saw the seat belts earlier. On the Mattel one, nothing in the McFarlane one. You know what's really funny here? This is glossy inside. This seat looks glossier than the actual outside of the Batmobile. The seat's glossy, the car isn't. And it's the reverse for the Mattel one. The Mattel car is glossy. The seats are matte. Little tiny things stuck in there. Wow, is that the phone? Okay, that's the Bat phone, and it's teeny tiny. Teeny tiny. That is definitely like 1/18th scale, G.I. Joe sized phone in there, compared to this humongous Bat phone in the Mattel car. complete with this little line on it, and this thing. So, yeah, a bit nicer, quite a bit nicer, honestly, inside. And then the top of it, there's the top of the McFarlane one, very, very floppy material. This one on the Mattel. McFarlane, Mattel, I'm getting them all mixed up. Not quite as floppy, but still a little bit bendy. It looks like there's actually some text up here. I really love this stuff. Emergency bat turn lever. It's hard to focus on that. So much going on in the shop, but I love stuff like that when things are labeled, like Bat Computer. The Bat Cave back there has all of those Bat files, Bat Computer, and probably the most important part is how the figures actually fit inside. I don't have any of the Mattel 6-inch figures. They did a 6-inch figure line at the same time as they released this thing. I do have the McFarlane ones though, and like I showed in the McFarlane review, the heads come up quite a bit over the glass, so if you're conventional and the head must be underneath the glass, then that's not going to work for you. I liked it. I mean, doing this again, just having Robin in this one for now, I don't hate it. I still think it's fun and charming, and it's just very early. I really like how easy it is to get him in there. You just slide him in there, pop him in there. And this enlarged part in the back, the McFarlane one having much bigger space, more space than the Mattel one. Perfect little spot to stick the cape in there, in behind, or you can even put it on top and have it blowing in the wind. So that's really nice. I'll tell you another advantage that this one has over this one. Kind of a pain to get a figure in here. So I don't have the Mattel ones, and when I saw them at the store, I love 66 Batman, but I passed because I just didn't really, they didn't speak to me. The Mattel 6-inch figures didn't really resonate with me. These McFarlane ones, I actually really prefer how they look. But this McFarlane figure, I don't know about the Mattel ones, how easy they fit into this Mattel car, but the McFarlane one is kind of a pain to get in there. You can do it, but it ain't fun. As far as the seatbelt goes, it's a pain. It ain't fun. The G.I. Joe seatbelts are much better. They're easy to just clip in, and you grab them from the other side and you pull. The way this seatbelt is, you can't actually do that. Here's the other end of the seatbelt. This one is the side that's permanently clipped in, and then here, right there, is the seatbelt that you feed through for the figure, and my big fingers can't really get in there to tighten it. The whole point of the seatbelt is safety. I don't think the Bright Knight would approve of this seatbelt. It's only as tight as I can kind of sneak my finger in there and try to shimmy it down there. I mean, what are you going to do? Grab some pliers and pull? I mean, it's just, you can't really get the seatbelt super tight otherwise. So it's in there, but I don't know. I'd almost prefer no seatbelts, like in the old show. In this cape, there's not as much space in behind if you want to stick it. See, in behind there, it's all like jammed up and squished in there, which will wrinkle your cape. And then if you want to have it flying overhead, it's hitting this part right here. It doesn't really sit all that nicely like it does on this one, especially if you just tuck it in underneath. That looks so much nicer with a caped figure sitting in there. But he sinks in there. His head actually does come up a little bit, just a tiny bit up over the glass. So it's not like he's really deep in there compared to the McFarlane one. But the Mattel one certainly looks more of a proper scale if you're, you know, really, really strict to scale. Definitely more well scaled to 6-inch figures than the McFarlane one. This is definitely more of a G.I. Joe sized vehicle. And before we get the Boy Wonder in here, let's see how a couple of other figures fit. I don't know how this Macho Man is going to fit in here. He's, I think he's a little too beefy, actually, to fit in there.
Gotta hear beef.
Yeah, he's, so your wrestling figures are not going to do as well in there, especially with just how muscular they are. Let's grab a regular size G.I. Joe classified figure. Problem with the classified figures is they got a little trouble getting their legs up because of things like this. Holsters and belts and stuff getting in their way. But I think Flint should have a little bit. Oh yeah. Yeah, Flint has a lot more luck getting in there. Seatbelt. Forget it. Flint doesn't wear seatbelts. Flint's looking more like Batman and Robin looked in that. He's quite oversized. So if Flint is looking that big in there, then I'm guessing this big Cajun, which we just took a look at last week, it's going to be an even tighter fit. Yeah, pretty much same problem as the Macho Man. This guy's basically a wrestling figure. He's humongous. All right, let's get the Boy Wonder in there and see how this Batmobile looks with the... Hey, what is this? I guess I got quite a few figures that are fans of the Macho Man. It's easy to be a fan of the greatest of all time. Okay, I'm gonna... Oh, he was a lot easier, actually, to get in there. Much easier than Batman because of the steering wheel. And just Batman being a tiny bit bigger. I'm gonna probably have to do this seatbelt off camera because it's a little tricky. Oh, I got it in there. It's not bad. Tightening it is another story. As with the first time, I'm not having any luck tightening this, so I'm actually going to grab some pliers here, get in there, and tighten that. And the secret to not worrying about damaging this stuff by having these pliers grip into it and pull, the secret is, who cares, it's just toys. Now that is satisfying, to tell you the truth. These are supposed to be seat belts. They're supposed to secure the figure in there, and instead of just being for show seat belts, they're actual functioning seat belts that are securely holding the figures in there. You can whip these around and they're not coming out. Always wear your seatbelt, Robin. And since I did some comparisons in the McFarlane Batmobile video with some real classic Earl vehicles, do the same thing with the Mattel one. The Batmobile on the 66 show is really long. Kind of reminds me of a Cadillac. So it kind of makes sense to me that it would be longer than the Coyote. And then here's the McFarlane one, which was quite a bit shorter. That's an Earl plastic. I think it's Earl. Yeah, it is. There's the old Earl logo, which they're still rocking to this day. Never changed it. And I think this one's an Earl also. Yes, it is. Earl A-Team van. Guns are dropping out of it. That seems appropriate for an A-Team van. Gigantic A-Team van, and this Batmobile is so long, it's much longer than this van. And finally, it's not an Ertl vehicle, it's a Kenner vehicle, but it is very similar to those big plastic Ertl vehicles, probably heavily inspired by it. It's the Talking Knight Rider 2000 by Kenner. Pretty much in the same scale. In the McFarlane one, I swapped the figures and the Batman fit perfectly in here, so that looks about right. The Batmobile being longer, more Cadillac looking, this Trans Am, more compact looking thing, about the same height. Really cool seeing them side by side. And to wrap it up, let's see how it looks with McFarlane's awesome Batcave playset. So this is the McFarlane Batmobile, and replace it with the Mattel one, which is quite a bit longer. Possibly too long for this playset. I know the scale of this playset is actually 1/18 scale. So Mezco's done some 1/18 scale Batman figures, which look a lot more properly scaled. This, I don't know, looks a little bit better with this Batcave, maybe just because it's a 1/18 scale Batcave and a 1/18 scale Batmobile. Pop this here, and this is 1/12 scale Batmobile with a 1/18 scale Batcave. I thought this would go with that a lot better, but the Batmobile is just so humongous that it almost makes the Batcave look smaller and even more out of scale. But anyway, that's how they look together. Big question is it worth the extra money? If they were released simultaneously for roughly the same price, then I'd probably go with this one. If I could get this one for like $20 more than the McFarlane one, then yeah, I'd probably jump on that one. Is this one worth $100 more? No, definitely not. And so I'm glad I paid about, $20-30 more for this one than I did the McFarlane one, but that's just because I've found an amazing local deal. But in terms of hunting for this on eBay, paying some of the higher end prices people are asking for these mint on box, plus shipping on top, and shipping isn't going to be cheap, especially if you're not in the States. With how big it is, it's not that heavy, but it's big. It's definitely got improvements over the McFarlane one, but in terms of bang for your buck, which I like to talk about a lot on this channel, this one is not the bang for your buck. The bang for your buck is still this one. Incredible bang for your buck. That's what I think, and feel free to share what you think in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and to join the tribe, hit subscribe.